Are you struggling for consistency in your sim racing? Does your iRating look like a roller coaster? If so, we have good news for you. The way to get more consistent is to first understand what you're doing differently than the professionals. And VRS is the answer. With our competitive subscription, you will have the telemetry, setups, tutorials, and everything else you need to fully analyze your driving. Our data packs and the ability to compare your driving with the best in the world will show you exactly where to adjust your inputs, change your driving line, and shave seconds off of your lap times. And our powerful and precise Direct Force Pro wheelbase and precision pedals are being used by some of the world's best drivers. All these champions agree that VRS hardware is not just the best on the market, it's also priced well below the competition. So if you're looking to upgrade to direct drive and the best pedals in sim racing, VRS is your answer. If you want to get better, get faster, and make it happen sooner rather than later, you owe it to yourself to find out why so many people are switching to VRS. You'll be so glad that you did. Visit www.virtualracingschool.com and learn why the best use VRS.
Ricmotech, high-performance sim racing equipment. There's only one place to go, Ricmotech.com.
Welcome to season number 12 of the Extreme Motorsports Ricmotech World Challenge here on Apex Racing TV, where the best virtual GTP, LMP2, and GT3 racers in the world do battle. I'm Greg Ginsburg. Joining me in the announce booth, as always, is Larry Lefty McLeod with Jonathan Grabowski, giving you all the best views of tonight's 75-minute run to the checkered flag. And for round number 7, we're setting our sights on the legendary Nürburgring GP circuit. Built in 1984 alongside the 12-mile, 154-turn monster, this modern 3.2-mile marvel boasts wide runoff areas, fantastic spectator views, and a combination of medium-speed sweepers and tight hairpins that push drivers to the limit. And in that year, 1984, it also marked the return of Formula One to the region for the first time since the Green Hell held its last in 1976 due to safety concerns. And so, good evening, Larry, and good evening, everybody at home, and welcome to the Eifel Mountains.
It is time for the ring. I do like me some ring. This is the GP side of things, which is a very different animal than the Nordschleife. But, you know, Formula One runs here. This is part of the endurance races often run the connected track, which includes a lot of the Grand Prix circuit here. This is a very technical track, as you would expect, being adjacent to its sister Nordschleife. Very technical, very difficult to pass. Not a lot of straightaways on this place. If you're waiting to kind of draft someone and go on by, this is not the place. You're going to have to really work for it to make passes around here.
Yeah, indeed, Larry. It is very difficult. I'm afraid now to bring up the names of some of the corners because they basically change with the wind or whoever writes the biggest check that year to the folks in Germany. But again, lots and lots of hairpins here. A good number of high-speed sweepers, and even though I said that the track is wide and it does have lots of runoff room, it in many cases once it gets crowded, and I think we've got somewhere along the lines tonight of 38 or 39 racers across LMP2, GTP, and GT3. It's still going to get pretty hectic around here. So it's something that our viewers at home are going to want to watch. And the other thing they're going to watch, Larry, as our racers are out for qualifying right now, and we're a little bit over 8.5 minutes into this 15-minute qualifying session where we give our racers 4 attempts, 4 flying laps in order to set their fastest and set the grid for tonight's 75-minute race. And our racers, they will, at least as they look out, their windshields appear to have the track all to themselves. We've got our 3 different classes. We've got our GTPs, as we're watching right now, our provisional pole sitter, Bailey Petrowski, from Invictus to Mario Corsa, and all of the GTP racers, they're going to have the black mirrors on their cars, black number boards, black end plates on their wings, while our LMP2 racers, let's see if we can find somebody like Josh Chinsky, who is our provisional pole sitter in LMP2. They're going to have the blue mirrors, blue number boards, and end plates on their wings, also blue windshield banners on their cars. All of our LMP2 racers racing the Dallara P217 chassis. And then in GT3, we are looking here at Mike Dam, who is our provisional pole sitter, working his final flying lap. And the GT3 racers, they've got the red number boards on the sides of their cars, red mirrors, and red windshield banners as well. And actually, I believe we will have some racers with green number boards there as well. Those are our AM racers, but will be primarily like right there. We've got John Casey out on track in his Chevy Corvette. For ease of Larry's and my sanity, we're going to be referring to all the GT3 cars, pardon me, on our timing ticker on the left-hand side of the screen in red, regardless of what class they may be in. But rest assured, we are keeping track of that behind the scenes as to which classes they may be in. So Larry here, we are also waiting. We're going to have an interview guest, and it's going to be scheduled to be Avon Dorsy from Rockefeller Racing, one of our LMP2 racers here this season. And Avon, I think, currently running 4th in the championship, just a couple points back from Trevor Anderson. And tonight, Anderson qualified, looks like qualified 5th in LMP2. Avon Dorsy qualifies just ahead of him in 4th.
Yeah, it'd be a good battle to watch tonight, but Josh Chinsky really being the class that field so far, the only one into the 46 is so quick.
All right, well, I'll tell you what, Avon, it's almost as if he heard me, like I was sending out the bat signal or something. Avon is in the green room. Let's bring him in. Let's hear from the driver from Rockefeller Racing.
All right, joining us here is Avon Dorsy. Avon, are you ready for tonight's Grand Prix at the Nürburgring?
About as ready as I'm going to be. This is not my favorite track.
Yeah, it's funny that a lot of people, some don't like it, some do like it. This one not being a favorite of mine either. What tends to be your favorite tracks on the platform?
Well, Le Mans and Daytona are my favorites, but I'm not good at either. So,
well, yeah, you don't have to be great at them to enjoy them, right?
Right. Exactly.
Yeah. So it looks like you're in a good little battle here in the points, just a few points behind Trevor Anderson for that 3rd spot. Is that something you pay attention to as the season progresses?
It is. I pay more attention to it than I really want to or should. But the competitive juices get flowing, and you start really thinking about, okay, how many points am I going to end up with, and where am I going to place? Every race, I tend to think less about whether I'm going to win a race because I haven't won one yet in LMP2. but more so where am I going to place in relation to those close to me in the championship points.
Yeah, because it's just a few points, and you and Trevor for third and fourth. And then, of course, you got Kyle Strikers, who's also he's pretty quick, sitting there in that fifth spot. A few other names down there as well. But these races, being the multi-class format of it, you've chosen sort of that middle ground car that's quick, but not the quickest. How does that, how does that play into your strategy and how you run a race when you're not only trying to work your way through GT3 traffic, but also having to kind of yield sometimes to those GTPs?
Well, first off, I love SMP. That's my favorite part of racing. So that's one of the reasons why I chose the LMP2. Is like, well, at least I can pass the GT3. But it's just I just kind of I deal with each car as I get to them, whether it's a GTP or a GT3. I kind of watch how they are in a couple corners before I catch them, or whatever's going on. And I just kind of make judgments at that point. I try to make sure I hang back in each corner for a GT3. So that I can get a run on them coming out, as opposed to running right up on them before turn in for, corner entry.
Yeah.
That way, they slow you down more. So I'm learning that better. So that's pretty much how I do it.
Okay. Yeah, it's always an interesting challenge of how everybody addresses that. But we got about a minute left, and I always like with these pre-race interviews to ask a driver, what do they do outside of sim racing? What do you do either for work or family or for other hobbies?
Well, first off, family-wise, I'm married. Been married for 31 years this year, and 2 grown children. Well, 2 grown kids. I don't know. 2 grown adults now.
I got a couple of those. I know where you're coming
2 very
from.
immature adults. I knew that was what is going through his mind.
in case they're watching, which I'm sure they're not. But and I'm a project manager for a government agency in the DC area.
Okay. Very, very cool. Well, all right. Well, it's going to be an interesting race tonight. 75 minutes here at this Nürburgring Grand Prix track. Hopefully you get a lot of practice time in and you're ready to make all those passes. Before we let you go, is anybody wanted to give a special shout out or any kind of mention?
First, I want to give a special shout out to my wife who lets me do this, and who just brought food down for me. She's an angel. And and my team, Rockefeller Racing. They're a great group of people to race with and learn from. And you guys, Larry and Greg and Jonathan, for what you guys do. I mean, I just can't thank you enough. It's so exciting watching the broadcast after races and all. I don't go to bed till like 1 or 1:30 in the morning. But
Well, thank you.
there's no problem. And of course, XMS for putting these races on. It's a great league. I really enjoy it.
All right. Well, awesome. Appreciate the special thanks to us, and even mentioned Jonathan. That's pretty good. He's a super fan right there.
That's right.
All right. So good luck tonight, and maybe with any luck, we'll get a chance to talk to you in about 75 minutes.
Great. Thank you, guys.
All right, everybody. That is Avon Dorsy from Rockefeller Racing, racing in his LMP2. Delora P217. Larry, as soon as he started talking about his kids, I thought about a racer that we both know, Danny Richardson, who when he won a national championship, a club racing national championship a couple of years ago, the first thing that he said as he was getting interviewed post race is that he wanted to thank his wife who was looking after his kids at home, and they are absolutely awful.
It's the best quote ever.
And I for a moment I thought Avon was going to say the exact same thing. All right, we've got our racers lined up on the grid, Larry. Let's run down the starting order. I'll start off with the prototype cars here, and our pole sitter in GTP is Bailey Petrowski. From Invictus Temerio Corsa, Tanner Dibble will start on the outside of the front row racing for DNA Motorsports in his Porsche 963. Then we got Dave Meneno in the SRT Esport Cadillac alongside Charlie Hosea racing in the Rockefeller Racing Ferrari. Then we got Aaron Beaver also racing in a Ferrari, also for Invictus Temeria Corsa. And then we've got the Eagle Beavers Cadillac of John Sterling. Then right there, we've got Ryan Reisman in his DNA Motorsports machine alongside Jordan Butler, his DNA Motorsports teammate. Then in LMP2, we've got, and let me not forget Bobby Childs, who's starting 9th after a couple of weeks away. Starting on the pole in LMP2, it's Josh Chinsky with Carson Cushman from Purple Sector Motorsport starting 2nd. Starting 3rd will be Caleb Lehman from SRT Esport, alongside Avon Dorsy, and then Trevor Anderson.
All right, so it looks like Bobby's going to start for the pits. GT3 front row. Looks like it's going to be Mike Dam and Ilya Speaker. 2nd row, Travis Schwenke, Leo Dragota. 3rd row is going to be John Kroom and Brian Bennett. 4th row, Keith Stein, Chris Thorman. 5th row, Stacey Bertrand, and your AM points leader, Dan Carrito, and we are green in GTP.
That's right. We are green as Bailey Petrowski and Tanner Dibble side by side as they head down into the Castrol S into turn number 1, the first of many hairpins here at the Nürburgring. And we have Bailey Petrowski with the inside line going into that S, takes the position. He takes the lead over Dibble. Then we got Hosea and Meneno in LMP2 now. Josh Chinsky alongside Carson Cushman, and trying to go right around the outside is Caleb Lehman. Larry, and Lehman, he's gonna pick up the position, it looks like, from Cushman. No, actually Cushman managed to hold him off, but that was an interesting start there as we move over to the GT3s, where we've got Dam and Schwenke, Ilya Speaker. Schwenke turning in very late, trying to come up the inside of Speaker as they go into the Mercedes arena and come in and down the hill into the next set of S's. And that fight still ongoing with Travis Schwenke now sliding in the 3rd with teammate Leo Dragota, then Brian Bennett in the Sector 5 Mercedes alongside John Kroom in the number 45 Rockefeller Acura.
Yeah, crazy start there. As it looks like we have a lot of action all over the place right now. Chad Sebrin's had an issue in his Porsche. You can see him there recovering. He'll be poking out around the guardrail.
Yeah, we've got Sterling in the pits in his Cadillac GTP car. Let's take a look and see what happened to him as he trailed the field down into the initial corners in that Eagle Beavers machine.
He looked conservative, but the car just got away from him and turned to the inside there around that right-hand kink, and that's some pretty good damage to his GTP.
Yeah, hit that wall hard. And Larry, I would assume that a lot of the changes in the iRacing platform, with how cold the tires are and how long they take to come up to temperature in both GTP and LMP2, may have played a part in that, as it looked like he just jumped on the throttle and the rear end just walked around on him.
The replay here of Chad Sebring in his Porsche on the outside through the arena section, turns to the inside, and there was contact there with one of the McLarens.
Yeah, and I think that was
Lucas Dragota?
Yeah, I think Lucas Dragota in the Dragon Sport Racing machine. And so that puts Sebring in the pits now as well. We'll see if there's a penalty maybe that gets a sign there. So it looks as though also, Larry, that Bobby Childs did not take the start. And I know that Jeff Jacobs tonight is working behind the scenes, one of our stewards here for this evening's festivities, and he'll be one of the people handing out the penalties here this evening. So we'll see if Lucas Dragota can escape Jeff Jacobs' wrath. As we go on board right now with the Sector 5 Racing Mercedes of Brian Bennett, currently running 5th behind Leo Dragota from Orion Racing. And interesting to note here, Larry, that the last couple of weeks in the GTP field, we had a number of balance of performance changes that had been made, both weight and also power changes, primarily to give the Cadillac a little bit of help. And with the updates to the iRacing platform last week, most of those balance of performance changes have been eliminated because the organizers and the stewards feel that the changes that iRacing made to the defaults were enough to bring those cars back in line. However, still a pretty substantial both weight and power penalty in GT3 for the Acuras to maybe bring them back to the rest of the field. And so far, of course, we're seeing Ilya Speaker, who is the fastest racer in practice this week. He's hanging tough, very tough with Mike Dam.
Yeah.
You know, but otherwise it's, you know, it's Acura's 4 out of the top 6.
Yeah, well, a couple of those Acuras are the Orions. Of course, the other one I think that's in that run that's not an Orion would be the John Groom. I believe he's got his Rockefeller Racing Acura up there in that top 6. As we take a look at Filippo Barbieri right now, a little bit of a battle here with Neil Weston right in front of him. He's going to duck to the inside of Weston here into turn 1. Is he going to make that stick? Quickly turns, and this becomes the outside to the inside. He's got that run now through the stadium section, the arena section here. Maybe he can hold off Weston, and Brandon Guillot will be in that Ferrari right behind him. Yeah,
I was trying to slot right underneath, and he gets a good run. The problem is that when the track switches back there, Larry, over at turn 4, he gets Guillot ends up getting caught to the outside with having to go the long way around.
A good little run there for Barbieri now up into, I believe it's into 12th in the GT3 class. So good little pass there for him.
All right, let's take a quick look at this little sequence, Larry.
Yes, he makes a dive bomb move here. Isn't able to totally make it stick, but that puts him now to the inside of this turn 2 left-hander and able to hold the position off of Weston here. And at this point, as long as he can hold it there, he'll have the advantage when they get out towards turn 4. So they go through 3 at this point. Nowhere for Weston to go. And at this point, you can even see Guillot trying to duck in there, take the spot from Weston, but he's not able to. Weston holds on to that 13th spot.
And at this point, David Payton, about 2 seconds up the road from that trio. Payton, early on, one of our top movers. He's picked up 3 positions here on the start, as has Dan Carrillo in his Acura, also picking up 3 positions.
It's good for Carrillo. He comes in as the points leader in the class we don't often give much love to, the GT3 AMs, but he is the points leader as we go on board with Payton here, who's got Stacy Bertrand in front of him, and then Stacy's got Dan Carrillo. That's Acura there right in front of her Mustang. Good little train happening here. And again, we talked about this pre-race. This is a very difficult track to pass. You have to do things like what we saw Filippo Barbieri do, which is sort of a bit of dive bomb moves and hoping to make it stick as the track constantly switches from lefts to rights and lefts to rights.
Yeah, and with these very, very short runs in each transition, that's pretty much the only way, is to essentially dive bomb yourself into I guess a good position for the next corner up.
There's a pass we just saw. Chuck Labano in that Corvette getting around Stephen May in the McLaren there. May kind of not putting up too much of a fight, probably realizing it's a long race. Still got over an hour to go. No sense in doing too much here at the start. Labano, though, taking advantage with a little bit of aggression here, paying off.
Yeah, with Labano currently running 5th in the GT3 AM Championship. As we jump back over to Dan Carrillo in his Acura. That is the Saints and Sinners Acura. Stacy Bertrand in the Rockefeller Racing Mustang, behind one of, I think, only, well, in tonight's field, one of only 2 Mustangs. The way of racing, Jeff Jacobs, if he had taken to the field, would have made number 3. The only other Mustang racer here tonight is Russ Ruddick in the number 95 machine.
So Carrillo here in the points championship trying to hold off Filippo Barbieri, who we saw make that pass earlier. Barbieri is a couple spots down. In fact, just behind this trio we've got of Carrillo, Bertrand, and Payton is a short gap. And then you've got Filippo Barbieri right back there. Lucas Dragota is currently 3rd in those AM points. John Casey currently 4th. Chuck Labano 5th. So a lot of racing still to be done tonight, of course. And then one more round before anything is handed out in terms of hardware. But Carrillo, of course, would like to get himself a good finish here as we flash to our GTPs, a battle of Reisman and Meneno. Meneno to the inside as they go around that last hairpin onto the front straight, gets the position there over Reisman.
Yeah, and this is Meneno on a bit of a recovery drive here, Larry, as he started off in 3rd position, dropped 3, I think, on the opening lap, here as he is trying to work his way up and work clear of Ricmotech. The pair still about 2.5 seconds back from Jordan Butler's Acura up in 5th.
And we've seen this from Meneno before. He's got great speed. Every once in a while, maybe has a bit of an issue there. Currently comes in 3rd in the points. Had a win at the Watkins Glen race, a dramatic win at that round, but certainly in contention here. Just about 8 points back in the championship from 2nd place, Ben Rose, and then of course Bailey Petrowski has that lead. But Meneno's got pace, showing that those early mistakes can cost you, but he's got to work his way back through now. Next target would be Jordan Butler, about 2.5 seconds up the road.
All right, so our first driver now into the in GTP into the 143s, Larry, running almost a 1/4 second faster than Taylor Dibble in 2nd. That is Bailey Petrowski in his Invictus Temeria Corsa Ferrari. He is starting to make his way through some of our GT3 traffic. And should mention that Bailey was our fastest GTP racer in practice this week. And you know that we may be astounded that he's already into the 143s, but he was clocking in low 142s earlier in the week, Larry. I think fastest lap time that he turned in was a 42.3.
He qualified at a 2.6. He had in practice tonight, even in the session leading up to qualifying, did a 42.5. He's got all kinds of pace. It may just come down to weather conditions to be able to crack into those 42.3s again.
And Larry, we were just watching that battle between Ricmotech and Dave Meneno. Meneno just had a small issue with the car. Let's take a look in this battle. As I think Meneno ended up going off track in the fight.
Meneno was behind again as they go into this final hairpin. Meneno's, that's him on the inside in the green and black.
Well, I guess the position there.
Racement in that pink-clad DNA car.
All right, this may be it.
Okay. Which looks like it's coming up to the chicane on that long back straight. And yeah, that's a big chunk of chicane he took out there.
Welcome to Vidal, turn 14, Dave Meneno.
Yeah, the track does not go to the Nürburgring Nordschleife right there. You actually have to make the right and head back towards the hairpin. that is where the interconnect is if you were to go Nordschleife playing, but not tonight for Meneno.
All right, as we watch Tanner Dibble, we saw Bailey Petrowski Bailey's been having some connectivity issues, but both racers having to deal with a lot of GT3 traffic at the moment here. All right, as we take a look now, this is, I think, Aaron Beaver and Jordan Butler.
That chicane always gets me. It's so hard to set up for. You're coming in there about as fast as you are to any corner on the track, and there's just this flick of a chicane that you've got to get the car through, and then a short little run to that hairpin. It gets me 1X's every time through there. It's Butler now.
Oh,
right up onto the back of Hosea, but not able to get the car wound down as he was trying to get by.
Yeah, I was going to say we were talking about actually making dive bombs in that corner, but that probably wasn't what he had envisioned.
And Aaron Beaver's able to get that spot back as he's now right in front of him. And I think that's right there is one of our GT3s, Chuck Labano, I believe, right there in front of him. Jordan's now going to go by all of these guys. He thought he had them going into one, but
now he's got to do it all over again.
Such a variety of corners on here, which is what you'd expect with a track that's adjacent to the Nordschleife. Just every corner's just got its own little personality, like this downhill entry hairpin that is so critical, probably the most critical corner on the track because of these S's coming up the hill are nearly flat in just about everything. GTPs, maybe it's flat. Certainly not when you're trying to pass a GT3.
Yeah,
but
you know,
it's so fast.
And it's so, you know, in the last couple of years, of course, the Formula One series doesn't come back to the Nürburgring, or at least it hasn't for the last couple of years. And they had the German Grand Prix had been splitting time between the Nürburgring GP circuit and Hockenheim, and there is such a contrast, I think, even with this circuit versus Hockenheim, which just seems so generic. I guess. You know, obviously there's some challenging corners there, but it just seems much more wide open. And I think this circuit does have quite a bit more in the way of character, as we're watching Chris Thorman now coming down the pit lane. And Larry, with only 7 laps complete, I don't think this is necessarily a scheduled stop. That I have the pit window for the GT3 cars not opening up until lap 14.
And I don't see any penalties issued. In fact, the one incident we thought perhaps was the Chad Sebring and Leo Dragotta incident from lap 1. That was reviewed. No action on that one. And there's really nothing under review since then. So Jeff Jacobs getting a bit of an easygoing night here. Almost could have driven, I guess, huh?
That's right.
Our online Sarge Steward tonight. There's a shot of Aaron Beaver still slicing through now with Jordan Butler back in front of him. They're coming up on Dan Carrito, who I believe is the highest position AM driver right now. Aaron looks like he's going to play conservative behind Jordan, just sort of following through, not too worried about anything right now. Doesn't want to lose too much time, doesn't want to get the 1Xs, just happy to be tucked in behind the Butler.
The Butler.
The Butler.
The Butler did it, yes.
Well, he hasn't done it yet. We'll let you know when the Butler does it.
We'll let you know when he has.
Out in front, though, Petrowski has got now a 4-second-plus lead over Double. Remember, that had gotten down to about 2 seconds as they started going through traffic. Bailey must have gotten back in the rhythm of going by a few others and opened it up. This is a good look at Radburn Shooters right here in that Corvette. One of our AM category drivers right behind Lucas Dragotta.
And Radburn, I'm trying to remember if he's been here for the whole season or not. He's currently running 11th in the AM category. Yeah, he's only run, I think, 4 races so far this season.
Yeah, join us at Motegi.
Oh, my.
Is David Payton. Well, let's just going on with David Payton there as he gets the car going again somewhere past turn 1.
Yeah, and it wasn't just Payton. It looked like Jimbo Pfeiffer might have been involved there. And one of our GTP racers.
Is it? Well, I'm seeing
I think Ryan Reisman
gets into the back. Was that? Let's see who he got into.
That was one of the Orion Acuras, Larry, that came across the nose of Ryan Reisman.
Look to see who that was, because there's Reisman kind of came up on him quickly. It's a better angle here. Bertrand trying to stay out of the way of this.
Oh yeah.
That's actually Dan Carrito, isn't it?
Oh yeah, you're right. Yeah, I thought it was one of the Orion Acuras, but yeah, I think you're right. I think it was Dan Carrito.
Carrito gets away safely there. Not so much, though, for the rest of the field, including Reisman and a few others in that mix.
Let's take a look at Barbieri. He just took the long way around to try and avoid Reisman. Yeah.
Still got just a little bit of shrapnel there at the end.
Reisman continued to roll backwards, didn't lock the brakes down, and yeah. As we go back to live action, is Ryan Reisman, well, he might be blinking now. Probably driving a little bit angry.
He may be just a little bit. He's had his ups and downs so far tonight, and that's a bit of a down there going into 1. There's the look
frown
on his face. He looks at the camera like, oh gosh, they're looking at me.
Yeah, at least
Sorry,
he's not
Ryan.
throwing us at least he's not flicking us the bird. So.
That's true. We're not bird watching tonight.
No. Except for the Eagle Beavers.
So Reisman falls to the 7th spot there in GTP.
All right, Stacy Bertrand on the pit lane. Yeah, and I think Larry, she was one of the cars that was caught up in that incident as well, so probably has some damage to repair. And Jeff Jacobs apparently doing double duty. Besides adjudicating incidents on track, he's also one of our top chatters tonight in the YouTube channel. And he thought that Chris Thorman was probably low on fuel when he went out on qualifying fuel.
Could be.
Which is likely what happened.
Can he make it the remaining hour, though? I don't know that he can. We'll have to see. As we're taking a look here at Lucas Dragotta and Radburn Shooter, still in this little battle here between the McLaren and the Corvette. Watching the different lines there as Lucas wants to try and set up for a strong exit. And right behind them, they've got Josh Chinsky, your leader in LMP2, trying to get his way through this battle. I don't know how easy that'll be. He's having to pick his way one by one.
He's got about 2 seconds right now on Caleb Lehman behind. There's Lehman now. Actually, I would say it's 2 seconds, but it's literally 2 cars, 2 GT3 cars that he has to vanquish.
Yeah, less than 2 seconds now as they head through that kink on the back straight toward the 13-14 chicane here. Oh, look at all this traffic.
Yeah. And and as we're watching, as we were watching Caleb Lehman closing up on Josh Chinsky, Carson Cushman, who are on board right now with, is coming right up to the back of Caleb Lehman, and Avon Dorsy is about 10 car lengths back from him. I mean, it is, this entire LMP2 field is really tightening up.
Yeah, the front four are just right together, all four of them, and coming into tonight. Remember, it was Cushman that won the last 3 rounds, his first 3 rounds in the series, sitting third tonight with points leader Chinsky in the lead. And then, of course, Caleb Lehman, Chinsky's teammate from SRT Esports, right there between them. So super battles here going on in the LMP2 rank tonight. It's going to come down to traffic management as we continue to watch Avon Dorsy now trying to pick his way through that battle of those GT3 AMs.
He just comes underneath Lucas Dragotta there with just millimeters to spare.
But here we go, a little battle here. This is Robert Hartley in one of our Orion Acuras and Filippo Barbieri side by side as they're now going through the S's.
Yeah, and I don't know if Robert just didn't put in a qualifying time, Larry, but I'm showing him as being up, having gained 15 positions since the start of the race, that he would have started back almost tail end Charlie on the field in 40th position and is now up to 24th.
Yes. In fact, he started 39th out of the 40 cars, technically 38th with Bobby Childs not starting. So yes, he started dead last in this GT3 field, not setting a qualifying time. So pretty good start there for Rob Hartley, now up into the top 12. Speaking of his teammates, though, Travis Schwenke locked in a battle with his teammate there, Leo Dragotta. They seem to have lost a couple car lengths, though, to Speaker and to Dam, the 2 leaders out in front. There is Mike.
Speaking of teammates, Larry, I think there's racer's regret in the chat as we've got Alex Brown from Eagle Beavers Racing talking, lamenting that he was not able to help his teammate get ready for this week's race.
Well, there's another incident under review involving Ryan Reisman. So he's again being reviewed, having a rough night here in his DNA GTP car.
And look at this, is Barbieri fighting back with Robert Hartley, regains the position that he'd lost about half a lap before.
Yeah, Barbieri not playing conservative tonight. Seeing opportunities, he's going to take it. We saw that earlier when he got his passes in the first lap or 2, and now not going to be pressured by Rob Hartley.
They've got Jimbo Pfeiffer in the Is that the sector 5 through? Not sector 5, but no,
big
Ferrari.
tail slide though from Barbieri as he came out of that final hairpin at turn 15. That's an advantage now for Hartley, who's got a good exit. Going to duck down the inside, see if he's got the top end speed and if he can get the brakes done. Barbieri later on the brakes. Look at that tight, shortest distance line though for Rob Hartley getting that position. That was pretty car control there to hold that inside. Well, it looks like we've got a ruling on the incident there between Ryan Reisman and Dave Meneno. Penalty going post-race 10 seconds to Ryan Reisman as we've got the camera on him there. Again, not the best time to show Ryan, but he's okay with it. He's still got his game face on, focused in. Currently in 7th. A 10-second post-race penalty will be applied.
There you sit there. I just saw a little grimace, and I think that was the most expression we're going to get from him tonight on that.
This little battle's been going on really since the green flag drop. Ryan Bennett in that Mercedes, Leo Dragota, of course, in the Orion Acura. I don't think these two have been more than a car length apart for the entire 25 minutes so far.
No, Bennett did a good job on managing the tires early on in this race, something that has been a challenge for that Mercedes in a couple of rounds this season, and is stuck very close to both Dragota and Schwenke just ahead.
Well, as we come up on that 25, getting close to the 30-minute mark, I'm sure our pit windows are up. I'll be really curious with the way this race is handled with traffic and how difficult it is to pass. Do we see any attempts at undercuts? Does somebody take the risk that to get out of line and come in and try to make a pass through the pits, or do they wait it out?
Yeah, and it's, Larry, given how crowded almost every inch of asphalt is here tonight, it might be a big risk to do that.
Yeah, it just often can put you into slower traffic that you're trying to get past, and at that point, because you've pit early, you're on the same lap. They don't have to yield to you. There's no blue flags for that sort of thing.
Exactly.
So sometimes it's better to stay with your traffic ahead. So somebody may try it, but we'll see if anybody does. You can see here Bennett now, of course, has Josh Chinsky in the LMP2, as well as Caleb Lehman, both of them right behind him. And as they go through the S's, Chinsky goes by. Lehman's going to take now the second opportunity to get past Bennett.
And he does. And so Bennett now, of course, Bennett was going to try to use them to draft back up to Acuras, but he's lost a little bit of ground there now to Leo Dragota ahead.
We hadn't checked on these guys, but look at this battle going on. Marlon Jones and Russ Ruddick. Jones in the Corvette, Ruddick in that traditional green livery of his, this time in the Mustang tonight. Little Chevy versus Ford going on.
And Greg Brockway in his traditional purple livery, and the Corvette just behind.
Got more Corvettes at it now as Chuck Labano. Now it looks like Lucas Dragota may have thought Labano was already in front of Lucas.
That's what I thought. And now we've got Radburn Shooters and Labano in the two Corvettes coming out of the final corner, heading towards turn 1 side by side, and it looks like Labano got a little bit better run out of the hairpin.
Because Shooters had been in that battle with Leo Dragota, and that's why I thought that Chuck Labano actually was in front of them. Looks like here now Lucas has gotten by Labano, leaving Shooters now to deal with that. Look at this here as Travis Schwenke is trying to hold his line, while in between them comes John Sterling, who's actually a few laps down from the rest of the pack.
Yeah.
After that opening lap.
And Larry, right behind, noticed that Bennett now has managed to overtake Leo Dragota. That after having dropped a little bit back behind with a couple of our GTP cars working through. He's cleared that space and now managed to get around the number 118 Acura.
And it just occurred to me why Jeff Jacobs chose to not drive tonight. It's not because he needs to be the steward. It's because there's a certain basketball game happening tonight that might be with his
so
school.
He can multitask. Is that?
There may be some Gators fighting against some Cougars tonight down in San Antonio. It's going to be a bit of a biased crowd for Houston, but we'll see if his Florida Gators can get it done tonight. Oh, no, and that's going to be contact there as Bennett gets in the back. Who was that?
Yeah, Bennett. I mean, it was clear Bennett was going to try to follow the probably the LMP2 car through.
Is that Dorsy?
I think that's Avon Dorsy, the number 7 car. And Bennett was going to try to follow him through and maybe come underneath Travis Schwenke. And I don't think Bennett anticipated how hard on the brakes.
Dorsy was watching in front of him as he needs to, because of course he's got Travis Schwenke right there, Leo Jagoda right in front of him. So Dorsy did it right, and it looks like Bennett got in the back of him. I suspect we may be seeing some steward's review of that one if the steward can take his eyes off of the game for a minute.
I mean, Dorsy obviously he did the right thing. I mean, he got on the binders. Otherwise, he would have ended up collecting Schwenke. But yeah.
And that looked like a Chad Sieber not in the grass there a second ago as they went past in this Porsche. So Sieber may be having some more issues, but Bennett now, of course, missing the front clip off his Mercedes there. Jagoda now had gotten behind. A lot of action going on here.
Yeah, where all reviews will take place at halftime.
All right, well, behind them, I can see your overall race leader, Bailey Petrowski, now with an in-class lead of over 7 seconds. Bailey's going to be coming up on this group here in just a couple of corners, with Jagoda currently 4th in his class, with Bennett in 5th. That class, though, still Mike D'Amelio, Speaker, Travis Schwenke, your top 3, but they're going to have Billy Petrowski's in this. There you can see that GTP Ferrari looming large. Okay. Bailey, though, has time in hand if he needs to take his time getting past these GT3 cars. Maybe a battle, though, in GTP is happening with Charlie Hosea, Jordan Butler. There's Hosea in the Ferrari, the Rockefeller Racing Ferrari. And then, of course, Butler in the DNA Acura.
Was that Chad Sebring? We just saw it go very wide off track to let the 2 GTP cars come on. He's having a bit
of a rough night tonight. Here's Sebring. Remember, Sebring was involved in that lap 1 incident where he hit the wall in here. You can see he's got partial repairs, but not all of them. Trying to stay away from these battles, using all the gravel if he has to.
Looks like he's back on the pit lane.
All right, back to Hosea and Butler now. As they're continuing through traffic. That was Dan Carrito's Acura. They just went by. Butler, is he going to try to make a move here? Going into turn 10? Or so this is still the S's here.
Yeah, this is over at the S's.
Chicane at 13. That's Bertrand, I think, just popping out of the way of these folks. Yeah. The other Rockefeller Racing GTP come on through. They're good on the binders there. No room to make a pass, but just minimizing distance here. in the wake of Charlie Jose in front. This is the battle for third, so potential podium on the line here.
And Larry, it looks like Leo Dragotta in the 118 Acura just had an issue. Well, actually, no. It looks like he's come down the pit lane.
I wonder if he's one of the ones that decided to make that early stop.
Yeah, quite possible.
Because it looks like it's been
no issues. Yeah, he was in the box for about 21 seconds and back out.
There. May have worked out for him. Look at this. He's got some clear track to mess with here. This may not be the worst move for him as we flash back to Aaron Beaver and Ryan Reisman continuing their little battle. We know that Reisman's going to be facing a penalty later, but that doesn't mean he can't race now. Side by side with Aaron Beaver as they went through turn 4 down to 5 here. We do appreciate that he's got the live look-in camera. We encourage all of the drivers of the series to go ahead
and just as you said that, he
give us a
right
look like that
cameras
once in a while. Yeah, if you can give us that look, it'd be great.
Oh, and there you go, Butler and Hosea, and Butler getting into the back of the number 100 Rockefeller Ferrari.
A lot of slow corners on this track, that's for sure. This is not exactly Lime Rock when it comes to your average corner speed. This whole turn 2, turn 3, turn 4, this Mercedes Arena section, it's just a series of they all feel like hairpins. Of course, turn 4 a little more like a 90.
Each one tightens up a little bit more.
Then you get down to
the
this
downhill run.
this turn 5 is pretty good, but this turn 6, because it's all off camber, it just feels insanely slow. And then further down the hill, all the way to the bottom, to that true hairpin down here in front of those grandstands. But might be the slowest corner on the track, but it's got a little bit of banking to it at least, so it doesn't feel as slow as some of the others.
Banking, and it rises again.
Yeah, look at this though. Bad exit there for Hosea. Butler maybe has an opportunity. Hosea, good position there. He's got Brian Bennett to help him maybe. Bennett holds his line as they come in through turn 10. The Warsteiner curve at 11. Look at this side by side. These are contacted for sure. 2 contacts.
Again.
They look like they're stuck together like Velcro. And Butler's ahead now, heading towards the NGK chicane. That was pretty good.
That was a nice sequence there, Larry. And it appears as though the Rockefeller car is going to take to the pit lane.
Yeah, look at this aerial shot. You can see Hosea decided to stay in behind. Butler took an advantage. Look at, they are overlapped as they came out of turn 11. They stayed in it, but unbelievable. And at that point, Hosea said, okay, I think I'll go to the pits now. And he did.
Yeah, and so we are now getting into our pit windows for all 3 classes, for GT3, for LMP2, and for GTP. As we jump here, and before we take a break, this is the battle for the lead, Larry, in LMP2 between Josh Chensky and Caleb Lehman.
It's been like this, it seems, the whole night between these two.
Yeah.
Remember, they are teammates. Well, Chinsky's got that Penn Station sub-sponsorship. He is still part of SRT Esport. A lot of familiarity between these two. We know we've seen a lot of them together, I'm sure. It's 10 times as many races outside of Monday nights that these two get to go side by side. So it just means they know each other well enough. And look at this, and they're going to pit together.
Pit together. Oh.
All right, let's see whose pit crew is faster at SRT Esport. Who gets the A crew?
And who maybe used a little bit less fuel. So, Larry, let's wait until they come off the pit lane, and then we'll take our break, because we are right up at the top of the hour.
But he wants to miss their pit box.
Yeah, I would say it looks like Chinsky was trying to break the draft coming down the pit lane.
Don't need to stack pits. There are more than one tire crew here, and fuel crew for the SRT eSport team. Takes more fuel. Who's willing to risk it to the end of the race?
And so for the time being, that's going to move Carson Cushman up to the lead in LMP2 with Avon Dorsy.
Look at this.
Second. And look, here we go, Larry. And we have, I think, a new leader indeed. It is, or not a eventual leader, as Caleb Lehman beats Josh Chinsky off the pits. And the difference in the pit stall time, almost 3 full seconds.
A lot. That is a lot of time. I not seeing Chinsky move and watching Lehman go right around him really was a bit of a shocker. I'm very curious to see here if Caleb took a bit of a risk on his fuel load. He's got to find some fuel savings out there, but or perhaps did Chinsky maybe make a mistake, take on too much? We'll have to wait and see. This one's going to be a long play, though, to watch how this one works out.
All right, so as we go and we see this battle once again, right between Dibble and Reisman, let's go, Larry, and take our break, pay some bills, thank some sponsors, and when we come back, we'll take you all the way to the checkered flag here from the Nürburgring, where you're watching the Extreme Motorsports Ricmotech World Challenge presented by Butt Kicker here on Apex Racing TV. We'll be right back.
Ricmotech high-performance sim racing equipment. Whether you're just looking to have fun, train for race day, or become a serious esports competitor, Ricmotech has you covered. Hundreds of name-brand parts. Support from experts that love sim racing. Trusted by the pros. There's only one place to go, Ricmotech.com.
The SCCA Foundation is a 501c3 organization serving as the charitable arm of the Sports Car Club of America. One of the programs partially funded by the foundation is the SCCA Academy, an online learning management system used to keep real-life racing track officials up to date on the highest standards of race safety and officiating. Through this program, the SCCA Foundation is supporting the future of the best trained corner workers and event officials in motorsport. You can support these efforts at www.sccafoundation.org. The search is over. The most comprehensive league scoring solution is here, with the ability for multi-level championships, custom incident tracking, post-race time penalties, support for heats, drop weeks display, multi-car team scoring, advanced web widgets, rookie championships, a custom paint system, and load those results in seconds. Visit extremescoring.info today.
Ricmotech high-performance sim racing equipment. There's only one place to go, Ricmotech.com.
Welcome back to the Nürburgring GP circuit. It is round number 7, the penultimate round of the Extreme Motorsports Ricmotech World Challenge, presented by Butt Kicker here on Apex Racing TV. I'm Greg Ginsberg, along with Larry Lefty McLeod. We've got Bailey Petrowski, who we're watching right now. He is your GTP leader. He's opened up almost an 8.5 second advantage over Tanner Dibble's 963 Porsche 963. And in LMP2, Carson Cushman, your current leader. He is not taken to the pit lane yet, nor has Avon Dorsy. They are running 1-2. And then in GT3, Mike Dam, your leader, with Ilya Speaker second, about 3 3/4 seconds back, with Brian Bennett now working his way up to third as a number of the drivers between he and Speaker, in particular, 2 Orion accurate drivers, both Leo Dragotta and Travis Schwenke, coming down the pit lane and taking service. And, you know, Larry, we were discussing during the break, we haven't seen anything come across for that earlier incident involving Bennett. So we'll see here. Of course, Bennett's also still circulating without a nose on his car from that earlier
there may be evidence of perhaps an incident, but it's not going to get looked at. And there it is. There is that evidence, that missing front clip off that Mercedes AMG, but he's out there still running, currently third with a couple of pit stops having already started, of course, with Schwenke being one of them.
And as our GT3 cars now are working lap number 24, Larry, they are coming up almost to the very end of the pit window. I have the pit window extending out to maybe 26 laps for the GT3 cars. For the LMP2 cars, also 26 laps. And for the GTPs, 31 laps. So they've got a while to go before they need to really think about coming in, as they're currently, I think Petrowski and Dibble getting ready to cross the stripe here and start lap 27.
These three have been in a pretty good little battle kind of all night. We saw a bit ago, in fact, one of those three, I believe, Radburn Shooters just came into the pits in his Corvette. Lucas Dragotta, Chuck Labano, the other two. So the pits are underway in this little three-way battle, and then right behind him, I think, is Cushman, your LMP2 leader. There he is.
So that should put Avon Dorsey up to the lead in LMP2. Still waiting on he and Trevor Anderson to pit. They'll be the only 2 remaining LMP2 racers who have not.
Remember, Dorsey was involved in that incident with Brian Bennett, so he's actually lost a little bit of time. We'll see where this shakes out after all the pits are done. Remember, I believe he was in 4th, with a pretty close battle there between the top 4 when that incident happened. So we'll see how that ends up at the end of these pit stops. Schwenke getting inside Filippo Barbieri. Schwenke has made his pit stop. I don't believe Barbieri has yet.
He has not.
So Schwenke doing a good job post pit stop to efficiently get through some cars that were maybe on similar pace. There may have been a little bit of diplomacy with that one. There may have been a little bit of in-race chat to say, "Hey, do you mind?" And he was, "Yeah, sure, don't mind.
Sure.
Go ahead on by."
Good. Be my guest. So, Larry, of course, as we are now here on the penultimate round 7 of 8 here for season number 12 of the Ricmotech World Challenge. After our final round in 2 weeks, each driver in the championship, for each point that they've earned during the season, they are going to have 1 entry into a drawing held by Butt Kicker. And one of our lucky drivers is going to win a Butt Kicker Gamer Plus package valued at $279.95. And if you want to turn up the immersion in your sim rig, visit thebuttkicker.com. As we now have heading onto the pit lane, that's Avon Dorsey. And that is going to leave, I think, just Trevor Anderson is our sole LMP2 racer yet to pit.
Yeah, we'll see where Avon comes out from his stop. And in fact, there is Trevor Anderson coming in right behind him. So this should do it for the LMP2s here at the 48-minute mark out of 75. Meanwhile, I had noticed that watching John Kroom a bit ago, he was locked in with Stephen May. Kroom's already made his pit stop from the top 6 where he was running, and not getting that same courtesy, perhaps, that Travis Schwenke was getting from Barbieri a bit ago. So Kroom may have to launch some diplomacy himself to work on those easier passes.
That's right. There's Kroom right there.
And Stephen May and that McLaren right in front of him.
Right in front, exactly.
As they go down through Turn 7 hairpin up through the Schumacher S's here at 8 and 9. And here you go. This is for the lead in LMP2. Going back to Jimbo Pfeiffer, sort of right between them. Chinsky, though, has closed that pit stop gap to his teammate Caleb Lehman, and they are again first and second, Lehman, Chinsky in LMP2.
What would you call that diplomacy, Larry?
That was the shove your nose in there diplomacy, and
yeah, exactly.
Pfeiffer like, okay, fine, go on past. So in this, Carson Cushman now just about 7 seconds back from the lead. So I would say this is not over yet. A little bit of traffic, and you can find Cushman right on the heels of Lehman and Chinsky, especially if Lehman and Chinsky start to do any side-by-side battles. Could, in fact, help Carson Cushman. We know that Carson has come in on a three-race winning streak. Easy for me to say. So we'll see if he wants to try and make it 4. But he's got to close that 7 seconds if he wants to have a chance.
Nice run out of the final corner there out of the Coca-Cola curve.
That's Neil Weston there in his Porsche. And to now be managed through the couple of LMP2s, he's making it relatively easy.
Yeah.
Considering as the leaders in the other class, often, no matter where you're at, if the leader in the other class comes through, you typically yield and let them through.
All right, Mike Dam now, Larry, pitting in from the lead in GT3. That's going to elevate Ilya Speaker in his McLaren now to the lead. Brian Bennett bringing his damaged Mercedes down the pit lane. Keith Stein in the Rockefeller Corvette coming down as well. And I guess the question here, Larry, is going to be, what is Brian Bennett going to do? How much in the way of repairs does he need, or can he take or not take? Because, you know, he was only a couple seconds behind Mike Dam here.
If his pace was good enough, even with damage, he'll leave it. And it looks like that's exactly what's happening here. His pit stop right on par with everyone else. Just under 19 seconds. Bennett is out. So now it's Speaker, of course, having yet to stop. And then Mike Dam, Travis Schwenke back to second. I believe that's a Leo Dragotta just ahead of Bennett again. And there is Leo in that 118 Orion Acura. Your championship points leader, in fact, coming into tonight. We haven't talked about so much in that yet.
Yeah, you know, this might be a good time to do that. And unfortunately, we're having a little trouble with our graphic system. Not going to be able to bring up the point standings for you here. But we'll start off with the GTP. If you don't mind. Of course, last round 6 at Imola, Bailey Petrowski took the win. Tanner Dibble second, and Charlie Hosea finished in third. Yeah, as our leader Petrowski comes down the pit lane now. So great time for me to talk about this, Larry. And Petrowski, currently your championship leader, 21 points up on Ben Rose and his DNA Motorsports Acura. Then the SRT Esport Cadillac driver Dave Meneno only 8 points back from there in third, with Jordan Butler from DNA 11 points further back in fourth with his teammate Tanner Dibble.
Your Speaker just pit in GT3, so that should be just about everybody. Certainly all the leaders from GT3 are in. I think maybe, I don't know if Rob Hartley has pit yet.
Hartley has come down the pit lane already, yes.
Okay, maybe Stephen May.
And here we go, Larry. Ilya Speaker comes out, but I think Mike Dam's going to pass him on the front straight. And yes, there's Mike Dam, the second car in line.
Yep.
He's going to hold on to the lead as the pit cycles conclude.
Yeah, the other two, I believe, are Russ Ruddock in the green Ford Mustang. And then I think that might be Marlon Jones in that gold and black Lead Power Racing Corvette there, right behind Mike Dam. And then, of course, the 62 of Brockway in his purple Corvette, trying to get out of Mike Dam's way. So a little bit of traffic here for Dam, trying to hold off Speaker, who just came in and came out from the pits. There's Ilya. Trying to get past Russ Ruddock here. And there's a spinning Brockway and maybe a spinning in the...
Thankfully, not a spinning speaker, Larry.
No, I think that was Marlon Jones was the other spinning car. Ilya trying to just flash the lights, and hopefully Russ lets him through, and he does. That had to be a little bit of light flash before your eyes moment there for Speaker. Let's watch the replay here as we go and watch Greg Brockway. He'll be the first of the spinners. I believe he'll be on the left side of the track when he's spinning, and there was contact, and that's why he spun, was the other car, which of course is Marlon Jones. Corvette on Corvette violence there going in through turn 6.
Yeah, and I obviously we'll have to see what the stewards think there. I think that was probably a little late and a little optimistic.
Perhaps.
If it were me. And unfortunately there for both of them. And Speaker almost got caught up in it, as again Tanner Dibble should be, I believe, the last of our LMP2 racers to come down the pit lane. And as he enters his pit stall, Bailey Petrowski retakes the lead. All right, so let's take a look, Larry, at the point standings in LMP2 as we stand now. Carson Cushman, as you mentioned, took his 3rd win in a row 2 weeks ago at Imola over Josh Chinsky and Avon Dorsy. And the point standings currently have Josh Chinsky with an 11-point advantage over his SRT Esport teammate Caleb Lehman. It is another 13 points back to HSR Phantom Racing's Trevor Anderson in 3rd, and then Avon Dorsey, who we talked to just this evening before tonight's race, only 3 points back from Trevor Anderson, currently sitting 4th in the championship, and he's got a nice little buffer, about 14 points on Kyle Strikers, who sits in 5th. And so if we jump over to GT3, where Leo Dragotta, our points leader, did take the win at Imola 2 weeks ago over teammate Mike Dam and it was actually an Orion top 4, Dragotta, Dam, Hartley, Schwenke, and then Ilya Speaker in his Rockefeller McLaren was our first non-Orion racer to finish at Imola, finishing in 5th position. His teammate Keith Stein finishing 6th. That brings us to the point standings currently, where it is Leo Dragotta, who currently has a 4-point advantage over teammate Mike Dam. It's 311 to 307 points. It is only another 4 back to their teammate Taj Edwards, who is not here racing this evening. And then Ilya Speaker, a very distant 4th. He's 38 points back from Edwards, 46 out of the championship, with Travis Schwenke sitting in 5th position.
Yeah, you mentioned no Taj Edwards tonight, no Akira Iwata really since about the halfway point of the season. Yeah. He's missed a couple. He missed the Monza race. He missed Imola 2 weeks ago. Of course, missing tonight, and we know what kind of pace he typically would have set. So some strength of Orion not here, but picking up where they left off, of course, Mike Dam, Leo Dragotta, Travis Schwenke doing quite well tonight as we get a good look in at Charlie Hosea. Still, Jordan Butler locked into, look at this, as there may have been a bit of an advantage for Hosea with the pit stops. Butler closing quickly now as we're working lap 33.
That advantage might now be gone as we have, as we've got the Rockefeller.
He's got a teammate at least he can throw at Butler.
That's just what I was going to say, is we had the Rockefeller Acura following him into turn 1.
See if it helps to slow him down. It doesn't. Jordan Butler continuing to proceed through turns 3 and 4. There's still a potential podium spot for these guys. Sitting in 4th and 5th. They got some work to do. Aaron Beaver has slipped up there into 3rd spot.
And so, Larry, let's want to mention some new and returning series coming up here on our schedule in the next couple of weeks. Of course, next week is going to be round 8, the season finale of the Mini Mite Sports Car Challenge. Going to be at Daytona. That's for our GT4 and LMP3 racers. And then the Ricmotech World Challenge, our finale, going to be at the National Park of Speed, Road America, in 2 weeks, April 21st. but the Ricmotech Touring Car Cup will return in 3 weeks, April 28th. It has been for the Mazda MX-5 Cup and the Toyota GR86 Cup cars, but this season we're also going to have the BMW M2 chassis as well as the Hyundai Elantra and TCR cars, in addition to the 2 different Cup car chassis. And it's going to be opening up with a 60-minute race at Willow Springs Raceway. If you want to sign up, head on over to xmsracing.com/series/TCC. And then in early May, the Ricmotech World Challenge will have its next season, season number 13. And we're going to start things off with a 75-minute race at Fuji. Registration is open now for existing racers in the World Challenge. Probably doesn't help that I'm mentioning this while they're out there racing, Larry. But if you want to race in the World Challenge and you have not raced with us before, registration will open up on the 16th of April. That is next Wednesday. Go to xmsracing.com/series/RWC. And starting Thursday night, May 1st, the XMS Racing IndyCar Championship Series for both oval and road courses. Registration is open now. Head to xmsracing.com/series/ICS. Hope you wrote that all down.
Yeah, I took lots of notes.
John missed part of it. I'm going to read it all again for him.
Jordan Butler has gotten past Charlie Hosea now, as he's got that car length of a lead as they come up onto that final chicane before the last hairpin turn. Nothing's decided. We still have 14 minutes left in this thing, and there's lots of traffic ahead, including what looks like a Leo Dragotta trying to get around a Russ Ruddick. That always plays for interesting strategies if you're in the GTP cars.
Indeed, as we now have a little bit less than 15 minutes remaining, as Leo Dragotta popping underneath the Ford Mustang of Russ Ruddick.
So Dragotta sitting in that 4th spot and championship lead coming in. I don't know if it'll stand though. Right now the 2nd place in the points belongs to Mike Dam, who's got the race lead.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and again, Larry, only 4 points separate them in the championship right now. Mm-hmm. So that would be the difference, certainly.
And then Speaker, of course, has got something to say about this. He comes into tonight in 4th, but he's a pretty good chunk of points back with some rough finishes for him. But certainly trying to maximize whatever points he can get here tonight, currently sitting in that 2nd spot. Still quite a bit of time ahead of Travis Schwenke, the other Orion driver in that front 4.
And Larry, there's your answer to the question that you asked very early on, if Chris Thorman could make it to the end of the race after having pitted in, I think, on somewhere around lap 13 or so. And the answer is no. As he needed to come down the pit lane and take a very small splash of gas. He was there in his pit box for about 6 seconds.
Confirming the theory that he probably didn't start the race with enough fuel on board.
Exactly.
Probably still had his qualifying fuel in the car and realizing that went as long as he could before having to fill up. But all right, so there's a good look at John Sterling, who's had his ups and downs tonight. And that actually over Chuck Labano, that was for race position because Sterling has spent so much time in the pits. He's currently on the same lap as half of the GT3 field, as opposed to 5 laps ahead where the leaders in GTP are.
And we jump up to our LMP2 leader. That is Caleb Lehman, as Lehman still has this battle that has not abated between he and Josh Chinsky. Chinsky, our leader early on, slots back in the 2nd after the pit cycles and is less than a second behind.
I think maybe he's got one more fight left in him here. About 1 second back, he's going to have to close it up. He'd like to get that down to maybe about a half a second, maybe using some of this upcoming traffic as we're on board here with Chinsky and some of the GT3 cars right in front of Josh that may, actually in front of Caleb, that may slow them down a little bit. And that, of course, I think it's John Casey in the 78 blue Corvette. Just a little bit impeding the exit there for Chinsky. Chinsky now, of course, having to deal with Jordan Butler, who's quite a bit faster than his LMP2 car. Certainly in the horsepower range. And having run some endurance races in an LMP2 against these GTPs, those GTPs are rocket ships. You get on a straightaway, and they're at least a full second per a medium straightaway faster than an LMP2, and that's a lot of time delta.
Yeah, you know, and so interesting here, Larry, is over the course of the 70-minute race, and I think it speaks to a lot to all of the tight corners here at the Nürburgring GP circuit, where we think that the GTP cars will probably finish up this race at about 44 laps in the books, and the LMP2 cars 42 laps in the books. That you know, we look at those lap times, only about 3 seconds a lap different.
Yeah, and exactly. In this case, the LMP2s are slightly lighter than the GTP, so in the corners they actually have a bit of an advantage. But once you get on a straightaway, and here there's about 3 points where they can kind of lay the power down, and that's the only difference in time. But in some of this stuff, these slower corners, turns 1, 2, 3, and 4, I almost would bet that the LMP2s through that section just a little bit quicker. But then you get down here, from turn 6 down to 7, clearly the GTPs will be quicker, and then from 7 all the way up the S's to that turn 10, 11 complex is going to be faster. And that's what you just have to deal with. You have to know that if you're in the SRT, like these guys are in the LMP2s, you've got to know where your advantages are. But look at this, 9/10 now, the difference between the two teammates with 10 minutes to go. Staying off the curbs, very interesting. What if I'd be hopping some more curbs there? That might be why, as he had Charlie Jose at a GTP right coming up behind him. Suddenly there was a large Ferrari alongside him. And you can see that there. You see how Chinsky actually through the apex of the corner was gaining on Hosea?
Gaining on, yeah, exactly.
But then look at the speed of Hosea down the straightaway. Oh, so fast. And again, look at the entry speed there. You kind of see it from the outside for Chinsky. Able to just dive in. But
yeah, and that's got to be an issue, especially if Chinsky even just has to get out of the throttle a little bit to keep from running up the back of the GTP car.
So you're hoping here that the GTP car can get, if you're Josh Chinsky, you'd like to see Caleb Lehman get held up a little bit, but actually because through this section, the pass wasn't done yet, Lehman's probably going to hold that advantage over, he doesn't. He does give up the position, it looked like there.
Yes, he does.
And he did. This could actually help Chinsky. Look at this, already down to 7/10. Look at that. That's actually a big advantage there for Chinsky as Lehman got held up just a little bit.
Yeah, and again, just in the section of the track where you said that the LMP2 cars have the advantage, the shorter wheelbase, the a little bit more grip. And
actually, I was surprised that Jose was able to get past Lehman during those corners, but I guess the run 2 to 3 straight.
Well, and he did it, Larry, on the exit of turn 1.
Yeah,
which set it up perfectly, not for Caleb Lehman, but for Josh Chinsky.
Right. All right, so we'll keep an eye on this. It looks like Lehman may be having some connection issues. Saw him flickering out earlier. Hopefully he's got enough high speed to his home to get through the next 8 minutes for his sake. It's Brandon Guillot in a Ferrari.
Guillot.
All right, well, these two have had a battle all night long. Lucas Dragota, Radburn Shooters, the McLaren and the Corvette. And this is in the GT3 AM. You can see they got those green mirrors and windshield banners and end plates on the wing. So this is for even their subclass position. I believe Dan Carrito has got the lead in the class tonight. He's a couple positions up the road, but between these two, kind of important for them to maximize their points. Aaron Beaver currently in third in this overall in the race, wants to get through. A bit anxious there. Well, there's
jump
your race
back
leader,
to-
Bailey Petrowski,
Yeah.
checking in with him. It's been another Bailey sort of night.
Yeah, we haven't given him much airtime, Larry, but that, and I'm sure he understands that that's probably a good thing.
Yeah, it's one of those kind of boring nights or good nights. I don't know if this is ever boring. This track is just busy enough. It's not boring. I've run a couple of prototype series races here, and it's a complicated, difficult track to nail every corner for a whole session, and he's done it so far now for nearly 70 minutes with 6 minutes to go here, and 16-second lead over a very fast Tanner Dibble. And no shame for Tanner. Is Bailey right now just putting on a clinic and getting through traffic here in the GTP.
Well, no, yeah. Appears in GT3 Pro. Mike Dam has expanded that advantage over Ilya Speaker. It's now at almost 5 seconds. And again, a lot of that could very well be due to traffic, but it looks like, at least for the time being, Mike Dam has a lot of open track around him, from the front, from the back.
Yeah, and that's, again, a little bit like Billy Petrowski, just consistency here for Mike Dam. Just lap after lap, pretty solid. Look at those lap times there. 4.7, 5.7, 4.8, 4.7, 5.3. Everything really tight together, and I suspect even that 5.7 was probably some lapped cars he led on through. Just shows you that consistency that Mike Dam has, that he can just run lap after lap on the same 10th. And that's tough to keep up with. Like, even if you may have raw pace by a 10th or two somewhere, Mike's got a lap, and he can do it for hours on end.
Hours on end, yeah.
But for Ilya Speaker, though, he's got about 4 minutes to go, but having one of his better nights. Came into tonight 4th in the championship, but it's been a string of, been mostly the 5, 6, 7 places is about where he tends to land. So, so far a good run here, sitting in second now with just a handful of laps to go. Could be his best finish of the season if he can hang on for it. In fact, with Taj Edwards not here tonight, Speaker could find himself in 3rd in the championship when he wakes up tomorrow morning.
That's right.
Avon Dorsy goes on by, and Bailey Petrowski probably saying, "Pretty please, let me through." So Bailey starting another lap. Just about 2.5 minutes to go. Probably 2 more laps.
Well, with Petrowski crossing the line now and lapping in the 145 range thereabouts. We should have this in 1 more lap.
There's your 2 class leaders there. 2 of the 3. Petrowski trying to get around Mike Dam, and Avon Dorsey, the pre-race interviewee, just sitting back there saying, "Hey guys, I'm here too." Yeah, Petrowski just putting on a clinic tonight with this consistency. You just watch him. He can be patient when he needs to. Doesn't need to be aggressive, because when he's not around other cars, he's just so lightning quick all the time. The setup's right, his execution's right there, his pit stops were strong. Remember a couple of seasons ago, he had specifically addressed in some of the interviews where he knew his weak point was getting in and out of the pits.
Exactly.
And he was leaving time, and he addressed that. And then he had a weakness where the start of races were trouble for him for a while, and he addressed that.
Addressed that as well,
yeah,
exactly.
And he just turned into this very consistent benchmark that everyone else now has to chase.
You know, Larry, it's all because of the Bobby Childs coaching.
It probably is. Bobby is, yes, he is the foundation. Some people call him the anchor of that team. Yeah, so Bailey comes in tonight on, let's see, start of the season, race wins went to Jordan Butler, Dave Menino, Ben Rose, and then it's been the Bailey Petrowski show here with white flag in the air. He's got 3 wins in a row coming in. Monza, Le Mans, of course, in the rain, and then Imola 2 weeks ago. He's trying to make it 4 in a row now on his white flag lap. Caleb Lehman trying to capture a win here as well. Lehman has 2 wins so far in the season. The opening round at Sebring, and then round 3 at Motegi, he got a win. But we know the last 3 rounds have been the Carson Cushman show. That looks like that streak may end, although Cushman's just 3 seconds back from these guys. So Cushman's closed the gap. May not be enough, but Chinsky, though.
I was to say, Chinsky now pulling within about 4 car lengths. Larry, and on that last lap, knocked over a second out of Caleb Lehman's lead.
And they're going to get 1 more lap, I believe. They're about to see the white flag because Petrowski is still behind them. So don't count this over yet. And Cushman's just 2.5 seconds back.
And this is assuming, Larry, that Caleb Lehman can actually keep his internet connection live as he's been flipping in and out.
He's protecting his packets with everything he can. We'll get back to that in a second. As Bailey Petrowski, 1 more corner. That's Jimbo Pfeiffer. He's going to get around, and Petrowski squeeze the gas.
Apparently, that's like the costume that they're all wearing at Sector 5 tonight here over at the Nürburgring, or they just go without a nose cone there. And so, taking the checkered flag, and your winner tonight in GTP, it's going to be Bailey Petrowski as we watch this battle for the win here coming into final corners. It's for LMP2, but in the meantime, Mike Dam, he is your GT3 winner this evening.
Let's watch this battle because we've watched Josh Chinsky. Was it too little too late? Maybe not. 3/10 back. You can see him just 1 car length off of his teammate, Caleb Lehman. And then don't blink because 2 seconds back is your 3-time race defending winner here, Carson Cushman, trying to also get in on this. You can see him lurking in the background in that chrome and purple entry. But right now, it's the battle here of teammates. It's Lehman, it's Chinsky. They come in through turns 10 and 11. Chinsky looks more efficient. What kind of exit do they both get as they then head to the chicane up the next hill? Decent exit for Caleb Lehman. Does he take defensive track position?
Oh, he's going to come right alongside Larry.
Is he out of fuel?
I'm fairly certain that Caleb Lehman, Larry, has just run out of fuel, and he's just trying to nurse it home in the last chicane. And as they come out of the final corner onto the front straight, Josh Chinsky, if he can avoid the Ferrari, is going to take the win.
That would have been a David Payton or somebody there at the line, but yes, Chinsky had the win and a shocker, and I do wonder if that was out of fuel. Remember, Lehman made the pass in the pits by being about 3 seconds faster than Chinsky in the pits, and I wonder if that was fuel. That paid off, but so close. Cushman still ends up in 3rd, just barely. Chinsky maybe just waiting for his teammate to get going again, maybe thinking he has to push him around.
Push him all the way around another 3.2 miles.
Wow,
well, there you
what a
go.
finish.
So it is in GTP, Bailey Petrowski, Tanner Dibble, and Aaron Beaver, your top 3. In LMP2, Josh Chinsky pulls out the win on the last lap over teammate Caleb Lehman. Carson Cushman will finish in 3rd. And in GT3, it's Mike Dam, your winner. Ilya Speaker finishes 7 seconds in arrears, and Travis Schwenke will finish in 3rd. All right, we're going to take a quick break. We'll be back in just a few moments here from the Nürburgring, and we'll talk to some of our podium finishers here where you've just seen the Extreme Motorsports Ricmotech World Challenge on Apex Racing TV. We'll be right back.
The SCCA Foundation is a 501c3 organization serving as the charitable arm of the Sports Car Club of America. One of the programs partially funded by the foundation is the SCCA Academy, an online learning management system used to keep real-life racing track officials up to date on the highest standards of race safety and officiating. Through this program, the SCCA Foundation is supporting the future of the best-trained corner workers and event officials in motorsport. You can support these efforts at www.sccafoundation.org.
Ricmotech high-performance sim racing equipment. Whether you're just looking to have fun, train for race day, or become a serious esports competitor, Ricmotech has you covered. Hundreds of name brand parts. Support from experts that love sim racing. Trusted by the pros. There's only one place to go, Ricmotech.com.
The search is over. The most comprehensive league scoring solution is here, with the ability for multi-level championships, custom incident tracking, post-race time penalties, support for heats, drop weeks display, multi-car team scoring, advanced web widgets, rookie championships, a custom paint system, and load those results in seconds. Visit extremescoring.info today.
Ricmotech high-performance sim racing equipment. Hundreds of name brand parts. Expert support. Ricmotech has you covered. There's only one place to go, Ricmotech.com.
Welcome back, everybody, where you have just seen round number 7 of the Extreme Motorsports Ricmotech World Challenge here from the Nürburgring. Let's look at the final finishing order. And in GTP, Bailey Petrowski for Invictus with taking the win, taking another win, this time over Tanner Dibble from DNA and the Invictus teammate of Aaron Beaver. Over in LMP2, what drama with Josh Chinsky taking the win on the very last lap, getting around Caleb Lehman from SRT Esport. His teammate Carson Cushman, who'd won the last 3 rounds, only can manage third tonight in for his Purple Sector Motorsports Dallara. And in GT3, Mike Dam takes the win for Orion, with Rockefeller's Ilya Speaker bringing his McLaren home in second, and Travis Schwenke from Orion finishing in third. All right, let's take a look, Larry, and see if we've got any of our podium finishers ready to join us. And the answer is no.
Well, they're still on that they're still in the victory circle. You can see them actually down there on the front straightaway as they're probably looking to go get rides. I think they're trying to get on the roller coaster that runs through the building there, just adjacent to the track. And I'm not kidding. You can see it. There's a roller coaster there. I can tell you that roller coaster actually has only ever run, I believe it was twice, and hasn't run since in many, many years. But it looks kind of cool.
So I guess that means your son isn't going to be riding it tomorrow.
He is not going to be riding it. Yeah,
actually, so that's on site.
That's right. So I'll tell our audience, my son traveled to Germany Sunday night. He actually is at the Nürburgring today for a work trip, and maybe he's in the grandstands there that we're looking at on this shot. Maybe he's on the bridge.
I was going to say maybe he's on the bridge there. All right, let's do this, Larry. Let's bring in. We'll start off with our LMP2 winner tonight. Driving for SRT Esport, it's Josh Chinsky.
All right, Josh Chinsky joining us and getting the win. And I'm just guessing that you added enough fuel and perhaps your teammate did not. Do I have that right?
Yeah, so it was actually it was an interesting race for us both. So I overfueled in the pits by almost a gallon, and he thought he nailed it, but obviously he underfueled. Yeah, it was just it was forecasting it was going to be 41 laps, almost the entirety of the race. And then like in the last 5 laps, I don't know if people had to fuel save or if people hit traffic right at the end, but it went over the limit to 42, and I got lucky, but that was a weird race.
Yeah, you can probably blame Bailey Petrowski for
I was going to say Bailey could have
and getting the extra lap for everybody. We'll just put that on him.
Absolutely.
But for you guys had a fantastic race. Between the two of you, it seemed, were nose to tail all the way, even coming into the pits together. And then coming out, of course, you had to make up some ground there in the last few laps as he was trying to fuel save. But what a battle that you guys had. And I'm sure it's nothing new knowing you SRT Esport guys do this every weekend. But How much fun was that for that first half of this race? Be battling it out there. Really
it was awesome. Almost, I mean, the first duration, we were like, hey, if we catch up to each other, we're not going to fight. We need to get away from Carson. I felt like we had the pace on him, but we just wanted to be safe. And then basically after the pits, it's like, all right, let's go. I'm driving with a little bit of a red mist because of the overfuel. My fuel calculator let me down yet again. But yeah, it was awesome. I mean, it's always great to fight a teammate. Sometimes it can get weird because obviously you don't want to take each other out. But at the same time, we're so super competitive that, yeah, there's nobody I'd rather fight than a teammate.
Yeah, well, you guys came in tonight just about 11 points apart. It's going to grow just by a little bit. Probably not in the way I'm sure that Caleb wanted it to, but it's going to be a little bit more in your favor here going into tomorrow morning. One more round. You guys ready to battle this thing out at the National Park of Speed in 2 weeks?
Yeah, it should be fun. I love Road America. It's an awesome track. Thankfully, I've got some experience in it with the new LMP2. So it's not like the last couple tracks we've had of where since the update, I haven't been at any of these. But yeah, I'm looking forward to it. The battle is going to be great. Road America generally always leans towards great racing. So I'm really excited for it.
All right, well, we are too. It's going to be a good finale here for our season. But tonight you get to celebrate this victory, even if it came right at the last corner of the last lap. They all count the same in the standings. So congratulations for that. I'm sure you've got some folks you want to thank here for helping you get the win.
Absolutely. First off, thanks to the parents for watching. I always appreciate your support. Shout out to SRT, my awesome team. I mean, you guys are fantastic. You pushed me to be the racer I am today. The setup that we had for the Penn Station car today was just awesome. Also want to shout out to our new partner that I brought on board, Lifestyle Integrations. Appreciate your support for the season, and I'm looking forward to going to the finale and seeing what we can do for the remainder of the year.
Awesome. Can't wait to see it in 2 weeks. We'll be at Road America for that one, but you get to celebrate tonight. Josh Chinsky getting the win here in LMP2.
Awesome. Thank you, guys.
Thank you, Josh. All right, Larry, let's move over to the guy who should have just driven faster so that there's one less lap for the LMP2 racers. Driving for Invictus Demeria Corsa, it is Bailey Petrowski, our GTP winner this evening.
All right, Bailey joining us. And Bailey, you were so fast, you caused an extra lap for some of these other drivers, and they're all grumbling about their fuel calculations, but that speed meant that you were going really fast tonight. What is it about this car and the groove that you're in and maybe at a track like this tonight?
Honestly, this is a track I love racing at, so it was very easy to get myself to put in a lot of time, and I did have to put in a lot of time working on the setup here because it just... We still have to put a lot of work to account for the new tires, so I was just trying to get as much testing as possible to figure out how it behaves throughout the stint. But it's not an easy track. It's very difficult to be consistent here, and also just we were all, I think, trying to be a bit cautious. At least I think Tanner didn't take tires as well, but trying to not kill our tires too much throughout the race so that we can stay on the same tires throughout the entire race.
Yeah, it just looked like you were driving with ease to the point where now, once you got such a big enough lead, you could take your time going around GT3 cars and not have to really push. Is that part of the strategy, is to just to get those first bunch of laps in so you can have a margin and not have to be putting yourself at risk going around traffic?
Absolutely. I would say that's always the goal, is just to pull away as far as you can so that you don't have to worry about the cars around you. I haven't had the pleasure of having that in a long time, so it was kind of refreshing getting that. But it makes life a lot easy. You're putting less pressure in the GT3s and just taking less risks, because at that point there's less reason to do so, and overall, it just makes the race go a lot cleaner, and then also saves my tires a bit more in the end. So in the end, it pretty much helps everything.
Yeah. Well, it was a fantastic race to watch. Just the dominance and the precision that you have in this car is really awe-inspiring to see. But we would like to see your teammate take a green flag here again. So, you got to talk him into making sure that he's ready for Road America in 2 weeks.
Yeah, unfortunately, Bobby wasn't here. He wasn't feeling the greatest, but hope he's feeling better, and I imagine he'll be ready again for the next race. He loves Road America, so and if I have to, I'll do some talking with him, do some bribing to get him there.
There you go. We would appreciate that. Maybe we'll even chip in on that bribery.
There you go.
All right. So awesome job tonight. Anybody want to give any special thanks or mentions to?
Yeah, definitely want to thank the sponsors of the series that helped make all of this happen. The SCCA Foundation, Ricmotech, Butt Kicker. Thanks to you guys at Apex Racing. I want to thank all of our team sponsors as well, mainly Invictus for supporting our team and letting us race race the way we want to race, essentially. As well as I want to thank all my family members that consistently come and watch the races. Thank you guys for commentating on the races as well. And yeah, thank you for everyone that's also watching.
All right, well, another fantastic display here tonight. Bailey Petrowski getting the overall win in GTP for Invictus Temerario Corsa. Congrats.
Thank you very much. Good night, you guys.
All right, thanks so much there, Bailey. And now, Larry, let's move over to our GT3 winner this evening. And although I'm waiting to see if the final points to this point get updated, we're pretty sure that he will be, when this night ends, your new GT3 Pro Championship leader going into the final round. From Orion Racing, it's Mike Dam.
All right, Mike Dam. The test was on tonight. You had to hold off your young teammate Leo Jagoda, who came in the points lead. You probably had to put it on pole. A lot of pressure on to hold off a lot of fast guys, but you seemed to check all those boxes in your way to this win tonight. Was there any pressure for you? Did you put pressure on yourselves to try and execute all those things and to try and have the championship lead at the end of the night?
Yeah. First of all, I'm back. Nice to see you guys. It's been a while.
Hey,
I think it's the
who
first
are you
time.
again?
first time this season, I think. So, yeah, definitely saw this as an important race. I want the championship for sure. So I put a little extra practice in, make sure I was good to go for this one, and I felt really good. The car felt awesome the whole race. Everything just kind of worked out.
Yeah, you looked super comfortable out there from the start, just so consistent. I mean, Ilya Speaker really put on a pretty good show to stick with you for quite a bit. That may not have been much of a surprise. We've seen pace out of him before, but really seemed to, if anything, push you a little bit in that first stint. And then you're able to kind of put it in cruise and take your time, let the LMPs and let the GTPs go by as you needed to. It didn't look like you had to worry too much about giving up speed, because once you built up that margin, everyone behind you was just chasing.
Yeah, kudos to Mr. Speaker. This was definitely the best I've seen him race. He was really quick that first stint, and I know I was getting some pretty good traffic. So he kept it right there at the 2 or 3 second mark, pretty much the whole stint. So that was a really good race from him. I just kept it calm. Try to be smart around traffic, and it's worked out tonight.
Yeah, it was really great to watch. What's going to be fun, though, is the points are updated, and right now you are the championship leader by 6 points over your teammate Leo Jagoda. Taj is another 15 points back, and then Ilya Speaker in 4th, with Travis sitting in the 5th spot. But they come down to you and Leo at the finale. Are you going to be putting in laps in and out for the next 13 nights?
Oh, for sure. I believe it's Daytona, if I'm correct.
Road America, same thing.
Is it Road America? Oh, Daytona's the other series.
Mini Might is at Daytona, and World Challenge is at Road America.
Yeah. Road America. Yeah. Yeah, I'm familiar with that one pretty well. So, but I think we all are. So, that's definitely going to be a good one. Lots of drafting opportunities. Can't really run away so easy there. So.
Yeah, that'll be a fun one to end the season on. But tonight you get to celebrate a little bit and enjoy and savor this one. It is good to have you back here in the winner's circle. It has been too long, Mike, and we won't ask you to sing. We'll save that for the next time.
Yeah, I'll think of a really good one if I win.
All right,
I'll make sure of it.
Instead of singing, is there anybody you wanted to give a special mention to here tonight?
Yeah, just all the guys, all my teammates, everybody in this league is really respectful and usually drives with a level head. Thanks to our sponsors, Hoppy Cycles, Ricmotech, just everybody who helps put it together. Everybody who puts the league on. Jeff is doing a lot of work by himself. Not by himself, but he's the head admin currently, and they do a really good job making this an awesome league.
Yep, and another awesome race here tonight, and for the Orion race team in that fast Acura, Mike Dam getting the win. Congrats, Mike, and we'll see you again in I guess next weekend in 2 weeks.
Thanks, guys. Have a good one.
All right, there you go, everybody, from Orion Racing. Tonight's GT3 winner, Mike Dam. And as Larry mentioned, we've got our point standings updated here. And in GT3 Pro, Mike Dam, your new championship leader. He's got a 6-point advantage over teammate Leo Dragota. Taja Edwards sitting another 21 points back from there. In GT3 AM, Dan Corrido is still your points leader. The Saints and Sinners Racing driver with 247 points. He's 12 points up on Filippo Barberi from Speed Lab. And then Dragon Sports' Lucas Dragota sitting in third, another 30 points back from there. In LMP2, your championship leader going into the final round of the championship of the season here, Josh Chinsky from SRT Esport. He's got a 14-point lead on his teammate Caleb Lehman, with Trevor Anderson another 20 points back from there. And then finally in GTP, your points leader, tonight's winner, Bailey Petrowski from Invictus Temeraria. How do we say it, Larry? Temeraria.
Invictus Tamario Corsa.
There we go. Thank you very much. He's got a 37-point advantage on DNA Motorsports. Ben Rose. DNA was much easier to say, by the way. And Dave Bonetto from SRT Esport, currently third in the championship. He's only 5 points out of second currently. All right, let's wrap things up. We'll take a look at what we've got coming up on the schedule next Monday night, 8:10 p.m. It is the season finale of the Mini Mite Sports Car Challenge for our GT4 and LMP3 racers. It is at Daytona, another 60-minute race on the schedule. And in 2 weeks, the finale of this season, season number 12 of the Extreme Motorsports Ricmotech World Challenge. We're going to be at the National Park of Speed. And then in 3 weeks, the Ricmotech Touring Car Cup returns for season number 25. For our BMW M2, TCR Hyundai Elantra N racers, as well as the GR86 and MX-5 Cup racers. Come join us if you go and sign up at xmsracing.com/series/TCC. You too can be on the grid. And of course, the Ricmotech World Challenge will return for season number 13, May 5th. For new racers that haven't raced with us before, registration is going to be opening up next Wednesday night, April 16th. Join us, xmsracing.com/series/RWC, and make sure to watch the new XMS Racing IndyCar Championship Series starting on Thursday night, May 1st. Registration is open. You can go to xmsracing.com/series/ICS. All right, so for Larry Lefty McLeod, for Jonathan Grabowski, I'm Greg Ginsburg. We'll see you next Monday night from Daytona. Have a great week, everybody.
Ricmotech, high-performance sim racing equipment. There's only one place to go, ricmotech.com.